2, 1. All right. Hello and welcome. Hello and welcome. Welcome to another episode of the Empowered Immigrant Live. My name is Otis Landerholm. I'm the founding attorney here at Landerholm Immigration A.P.C., where we fight for your American dream. Thank you so much for being here with me. All right. And today we're going to answer this question: can Trump take away birthright citizenship? All right. There's been talk about this. I think he is against and opposed to birthright citizenship. And so we'll talk about what that is. We'll talk about where it came from. We'll talk about whether or not Trump can take it away. Okay? And so thank you all so much for tuning in. Remember, the Empowered Immigrant Live is here to train. Sorry, I'm getting a phone call. Hopefully you're still with me. All right, so thank you for being here. Remember, the Empowered Immigrant Live is here to train, teach, inspire, and empower immigrants to make the most out of immigration laws and to make the most out of their lives. All right? And so thank you for tuning in. Today our theme is, can Trump take away birthright citizenship? And so thank you for joining me. If you are an immigrant and if you're here in the U.S. and if you have questions about your status or your situation or your options or your strategy or your plan, then I'd love to help you, all right? And my firm is here to help you. We're on a mission to win 10,000 immigration cases in the next 10 years. We'd love for your case to be one of them. We are fighting for our clients, and so if we can fight for you as well, we'd be honored to do that, okay? So I'll jump into my episode, and as I'm talking, if you have questions about your situation, send them my way. I'll do my best to answer them right here, right now, live. We are live on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok right now, so welcome everyone. Thank you so much for being here. Again, my name is Otis Landerholm. I'm a certified specialist in immigration law. I'm the founding attorney of Landerholm Immigration A.P.C. We're a law firm based out of Oakland, California, and we fight for the rights of immigrants who are facing deportation. All right, that is what we do. That is who we are. Okay? So, welcome. Thank you for being here. Birthright citizenship. This topic has come up. When I first heard it addressed, it just rolled my eyes, right? It's like, oh my gosh, this is ridiculous. In terms of when I first heard that the Trump administration wants to repeal it or change birthright citizenship, I'm just like, oh my gosh, that's just ridiculous. And let me tell you why, all right? So, but let's start with, what is birthright citizenship, right? The idea is that any human being born on U.S. soil is automatically a U.S. citizen. So where does that come from? Because it didn't always used to be the case, right? Why does the U.S. have birthright citizenship? You might ask yourself. Well, it was built into the Constitution, not at the beginning. It became a constitutional right inside of the 14th Amendment to the Constitution, which was passed after the emancipation of slavery. Okay? So the citizenship clause of the 14th Amendment, it says this, all right? Quote, it says, anyone born or naturalized in the United States is a citizen of the United States and the state where they reside. And that citizenship clause inside of the 14th Amendment was passed on July 9th of 1868. Okay? Now, why did that matter? Why do you think? Why do you think that mattered, ladies and gentlemen? History, right? History. Remember that before the Civil War, there was a case, a federal court decision, a U.S. Supreme Court decision that decided that blacks were not citizens. Okay? That case was the Dred Scott case, right? That's like a historic, horrible, talk about the U.S. Supreme Court messing that one up. Yeah, they messed that one up. All right? The U.S. Supreme Court does get it wrong sometimes, ladies and gentlemen. All right? They were very much on the wrong side of history in the Dred Scott decision. That's why it's so historic. That decision decided that Dred Scott, all right, who was black, he was suing for his freedom. That case said that, you know something? He didn't even have jurisdiction. He didn't have jurisdiction. He couldn't even file that lawsuit in federal court. Why? Because he wasn't a citizen. Why? Because he was black. Okay? And so, fight a civil war to change that one. Okay? So then the 14th Amendment was passed, and the 14th Amendment repealed and overruled the Dred Scott decision by ensuring that all people have the right to sue in federal court, and that all people born in the U.S. and naturalized in the U.S. have full rights of citizenship, irrespective of their race. All right? That's the way the 14th Amendment is. That's why it was there. And the last time that laws were passed that took people's citizenship away? I mean, that's a slightly different issue perhaps, but you got to know it, right? The Nuremberg laws in Nazi Germany stripped German Jews of their citizenship. Right? Is everybody aware of that? That's like immigration law in 20th century Germany. Nasty. All right? That was a predecessor to the Holocaust. And that's really scary. Right? It's like, be mindful, be cautious about detracting, taking away citizenship. And anyway, so I just wanted to share all of that, okay? It is very, it's a very racially charged and very, like the history is just very, dark times in our history where those conversations, not just our history, but world history, where those conversations have even been considered. All right? Think about that. So what do we need to know about the law? Like, how would a president then change who can, by constitutional law, become a citizen? Well, they'd have to amend the Constitution. So how do you do that? All right? So here's kind of the good news. It's not easy to amend the Constitution, right? A new constitutional amendment would require 2/3 vote in both the House and the Senate, and ratification by 3/4 of the states. All right? Like, that's a very difficult, impossible, right? And that's why when I first hear about it, it's like, just roll your eyes. Like, that's impossible. There's not a chance. Trump does not have 2/3 control of the Senate. Trump does not have 2/3 control of the House. So that won't happen. And there's no way that 3/4 of the states would ratify that decision. All right? But for me, the disturbing thing is, why even suggest it? All right? And that's what's crazy to me. That's what's crazy to me. It's like, do you know, on the one hand, people know that, and I think, on the one hand, people think that you come into the U.S. and you have a child, and now all of a sudden you can use that child to somehow fix your status. But I think what people fail to appreciate is how difficult that is. Right? Like, does Trump even know? You hear about, quote unquote, chain migration. You come to the U.S., you have a child in the U.S., and now all of a sudden you can fix your papers? Doesn't work that way, folks. It doesn't work that way. Like, I wish it did work that way. Okay? Like, if you're in the U.S. taking care of a U.S. citizen child, you ought to be protected. You ought to at least be able to apply for a green card, in my opinion. All right? And so then the question becomes like, why do people think? So how is that process? How is the process for parents? You come to the U.S., you give birth to a child. What do you got to do? First, you got to wait for that child to turn 21. Yeah, try being undocumented in a country for 21 years. All right? I've got lots of clients who have done that. That's not easy. Okay? Try being undocumented in a country for 21 years. Now, the child can only fix your status if you entered lawfully. Did you know that? I'll repeat that. A child can only fix your immigration status if you entered lawfully, or if you're protected by 245I, or if your child's in the military. Okay? Or in very few situations, if you have a spouse or parent who's a green card holder or a U.S. citizen who would suffer extreme hardship if you were removed, and you can get a waiver, right? That's it. There's no straightforward way for a person to become a citizen just because they gave birth to a citizen in the U.S. All right, so I wanted to be clear about that. My iPad is running out of juice. Let me plug it in. We're live, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry about this. Technical difficulties. I am going to do this, though. So as I'm doing this, tell me what your questions are. Let me know in the chat. Let me know in your platform, whatever platform you're tuning in on, YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok. Yeah, let me know what questions you have, okay? And I'd love to address them as best as I can. Again, if you're tuning in right now, my name's Otis Landerholm. I'm the founding attorney at Landerholm Immigration, A.P.C., where we fight for your American dream. And we're talking about birthright citizenship. In my opinion, the chances of him actually taking away birthright citizenship is 0. You know, maybe in fairness, 0.5%. Okay, less than 1%. All right? Does that mean it's impossible? It's not impossible, but he'd have to do some very serious convincing of 2/3 of each side of Congress and 3/4 of all of the states, right? Is it impossible? Hey, nothing's impossible. Well, yeah, nothing's impossible. I don't believe in impossibility. But I hope that does not happen, okay? Because it's hard enough to become a citizen as it is. Anyway, my opinion. So thank you all so much for joining my conversation today. I really appreciate your being here. That's basically all that I wanted to go over. Like, kind of rest assured, in my opinion, it is not going to happen that citizenship in the Constitution gets changed in the next 4 years. I really don't think that will happen. They might try. I think that they will fail that. But what damage are they going to cause even by trying? And that's what's frustrating for me. And I want to kind of just share that, like, hey, coming in, having a child in the U.S. who then is automatically a U.S. citizen, it does not somehow make the rest of a person's life automatically simple and easy, right? Over the years, I've met with hundreds, maybe thousands of parents of U.S. citizens who come into my office with their child. They've now turned 21, and they're all excited, like, hey, I'm 21 now. We've waited, taking care of our child for the last 21 years. Now can I finally fix my status? And often, my answer is, I wish, right? I really wish that Congress would get its act together and pass some kind of law that would allow for parents of U.S. citizen children who have raised their U.S. citizen children all these years. I really wish that U.S. Congress would do something about that situation and pass some law so that these people can finally have a green card. All right? Anyway, that's basically what I wanted to share today. All right? So, I don't know that I've gotten any questions out there. Is this useful? Was this helpful? You know, I see lots of folks here joining me on TikTok. Thank you for that. I see some folks here on Instagram. Thank you for being here on Instagram. Everybody on YouTube, I love you. Thank you so much. You know, if this content was useful, if it was helpful, please give me a thumbs up. Please give me, you know, subscribe to my channel. If you really want to help my content out, take a minute, go to our channel in YouTube. All right, we got 1,000 new subscribers in YouTube just last week. All right, I was really excited about that. Anyway, if you'd like to help out my content, please go to my channel in YouTube, Lander Home Immigration in YouTube, and subscribe to it. All right, that'd help me out. I'd love it. Anyway, I don't think that I've gotten any like real substantive questions, which is totally fine. I hope this is useful. I hope this is helpful content. Oh, okay. I got a question here. Path divergence. I see you here. Thank you. You say, when determining if an incident is a CIMT, crime involving moral turpitude, USCIS has to use the categorical or the modified categorical approach, statutory analysis. Very true. As opposed to a fact-based inquiry that dives into the police report. Very true. All right? Very true. All right? So just to be clear, like what that, I don't see a question in that, but I see what you're saying. You know, okay, so you're saying, so why does USCIS ask for a police report? Can you push back on that request? Okay, they always ask for a police report, and yeah, you can push back on it. The record of conviction is what actually matters. All right, the record of conviction is what actually matters, but often USCIS can ask for things in their discretion, right? So depending on the type of case, they might say, hey, this thing doesn't make you quote unquote inadmissible, but nevertheless, as a matter of discretion, they're going to deny you your case, right? And so sometimes they want to see the police report. There have been cases where I've pushed back on that and say, no, the law doesn't require my showing a police report, and especially if when it's not a discretionary request, right? Then hey, this is a legal issue. You know, you can only deny this if he's actually inadmissible. You can't deny it as a matter of discretion. I'm not going to go into that too far right here, right now, because that's complicated. All right, but there are types of cases that are not discretionary. All right. Maybe I could do a whole training on that. Maybe for the future. Let me know if you want a training on that, and I could do that. Right. That's actually fun. Areas of law, like when is good moral character a requirement, when is discretion a requirement, and when are those things not required. All right, withholding of removal, for example, it's not discretionary, right? CAT, relief under the Convention Against Torture, that's not discretionary, right? So anyway, Claudia, I see you here. Thanks. We appreciate your information. You're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you for being here. All right. And you say, if Trump tries to do it, would 4 years be enough time for him to accomplish that? I really think I don't. Look, I don't think that there's any way that he would do that. All right, that he would succeed in doing that. I think he might try, but I think there's no way in his actually succeeding in amending the U.S. Constitution. I just don't see that happening. But I see him doing all kinds of other damage, right, to U.S. immigration law and policy. And I'm sorry for everybody that's facing an immigration service right now, because it's going to be a challenge. All right, it's going to be a challenge. That doesn't mean it's impossible, right? Our office won cases during the first Trump administration. It was not easy, all right? It was not easy because we faced a lot of pushback. All right, and there were ridiculous delays, and we got extra RFEs, requests for evidence, extra rejection notices for no reason. There was just a lot of pushback on every step of the way. But honestly, it's like that is what lawyers are here for, right? So it's like, get a good lawyer, make sure that you dot every I, cross every T, make sure your application is squeaky clean, make it as strong as possible, because we want to make if they're going to deny a case, we want to make them have to work to deny your case, right? We want to document your case to the very fullest, right? So that it's like you're showing that you're eligible, and if they want to deny you, hey, let's sue them about it, right? We want it that strong. And you can't do that with a notario. You can't do that with your cousin, right? You need a lawyer. You don't do this with a lawyer who doesn't know what they're doing either. A brand new lawyer right out of law school. I mean, in all fairness, that was me once. But I was pretty good. I mean, I was well trained, quickly became a certified specialist in immigration law, started my own firm, I was, and part of it is just I was very focused on this issue. I'm passionate about this issue, all right? And so I became very good at it very quickly. But it's like, you want somebody like that. You want somebody who really takes the time to develop expertise in this area so that if an application that they're representing you on gets denied, you can fight about it. Lawyers can go to court, all right? But you got to work with a lawyer who's got experience going to court and who's willing to push that type of case if the government makes a mistake or doesn't respect your rights or doesn't, issues a denial in error, right? You got to know how to navigate that. Anyway, I think that's all I got. I don't see that there's any other questions that have come in, so thank you all so much for being here. I really appreciate each and every one of you. My empowerment tip for today, I always like to give an empowerment tip. Look, if the news is stressful, which sometimes the news stresses me out, if the news is stressful for you, turn it off. All right? Turn it off. And instead, do something that is more, here's what I would say. Find an audiobook. Find a actual book. Do something that will change your focus away from just the news and the bad, and instead focus on how you can learn a new skill or how you can up-level your life in some way, right? Watch some YouTube video training in something that will up-level your own success, How can you buy a house and qualify for a loan as an undocumented immigrant, right? Let's find that out if that's what you want to do. Or how can you get more physically fit, if you wanted to have better control over your health, if that's what you want to do. Or my recommendation is that there are things that we can't control. We can't control other people. We can't control the future. We can't, but we can control ourselves. And we can all get better in some way. Just think about it, right? Just think about it. We can all get better in some way. And imagine, if every person got better, well, then the whole world would get better. Right? What a crazy concept. So it's we have that power. We have the power. We can't control what other crazy people are thinking and doing, but forget them. We can control ourselves. We can focus on what we can control to make ourselves as strong, smart, productive, capable as we can possibly make ourselves. And that is irrespective of our immigration status. Okay? I've got a couple more questions, and then we'll wrap up, and then I'll do this episode in Spanish, all right? So Edgar Padilla, thank you so much. If you came in illegally as a child, is there any way to fix your status without going to Mexico? Yeah, thank you. Thank you. All of our DACA clients, right? Yes, there are ways, but they're not easy, and they're not simple, and they're not fun, okay? U visas, VAWA cases, T visas, asylum, withholding of removal, Convention Against Torture claims, cancellation of removal cases, family-based options if you have a family member in the military or if you are protected by 245I. All of those exist. None of them are easy. None of them are simple. And if you have a spouse who's a U.S. citizen and you entered unlawfully and there's no other option, then do it through Mexico. do it as a consular case, and that's a winnable case also. Okay? That's the way it is. That's the way it is. I wish that Congress would codify and put into law the DREAM Act so that folks that entered as children could get a green card. Okay? But Congress has failed time and time and time again. I think it's been brought up 10 times. Okay? I think the first time it was brought up was introduced in the House was in 2001, if I'm not mistaken. It might have been earlier than that. So, and then Giove, I see your question here. I'm renewing my green card and USCIS sent me a letter saying that I don't need a biometric appointment. Okay, that's good news. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. I'm glad you're renewing your green card. When the government already has your biometrics, right? They're already on file. Like they took your prints when you applied for your green card the last time. And as long as they're clear and as long as they're able to reuse those same prints to do a background check, then that's what they send. They send a notice saying that you don't need to get your biometrics done. So that's a good thing. Don't worry about it. Okay? Very, very common these days. All right, you guys. Thank you all so much for joining me today. If this was useful, if this was helpful, please subscribe to our channel. Please also click the notifications bell, and you can get a notification whenever we upload an additional video with news, updates, etc. And take it one day at a time. All right, I just saw a new question come in. Past deportation, only got a prima facie prima facie determination. Should the lawyer put in a joint motion or wait for VAWA approval? Okay, so you applied for VAWA, you have a past deportation order. Should you put in a joint motion or wait for your approval? You know, I'm glad that you have the prima facie. You could try the joint motion to reopen. Talk strategies like that through with your lawyer. There's no guarantee that they would join that motion, right? If you only have your prima facie. You don't actually have the VAWA approval yet. And so talk it through with your lawyer. That'll depend on where your case is located. There's no harm in reaching out to your, having your attorney reach out to OPLA, all right, the Office of the Principal Legal Advisor, the attorneys that oversee ICE, right? So to ask them if they'd be willing to join in that context, and depending on where you are in the country, they might, okay? Michael, I see yours here. I had an arrest case that was later dismissed. There was no trial, so I did not plead guilty. The case was later expunged. I'm now married to a U.S. citizen. Will I be on the radar for deportation? You were arrested. There was no trial. You did not plead guilty, so it was just dismissed with no... If the case was later expunged, then there was a guilty finding. All right, so there's some confusion you have there, Michael. If you were arrested, it's like you either pled guilty or no contest if you later had to go get it expunged, right? Does that make sense? And so you very well could be on immigration's radar. And the good news is you're now married to a U.S. citizen. So talk it through with a lawyer, figure out if that arrest or conviction hinders your marriage-based case and get started on your marriage-based case. Okay, that's my best advice. Claudia, if you have a case with immigration, is there any protection if you get detained by ICE? That's a really great question. I'll tell you what, Claudia, that will be the topic of my next live session. You win the prize. All right? That is a big question, and I'm going to do a whole episode on that. If you have an immigration case pending, can you be detained by ICE? All right? I'll do a whole thing on that. The quick answer is in theory, yes. All right. In theory, if a person is quote unquote deportable, meaning they've overstayed their visa, they don't have valid legal status, right? Then in theory, yes, ICE could detain them. All right. And they don't have the bandwidth to detain everybody in that context, and that is not a practical, like, why detain somebody if they're going to get a green card tomorrow, right? And so it's like, anyway, I can do a whole training on that, okay? Mike Johnson, you say, what if you have pending an asylum at USCIS and you have a work permit and you have no criminal case, do you get as it's written, it says deposited. You mean deported? No. If you have a pending asylum case, you could be detained, which that can be my next conversation, but you cannot be deported, right? Because you would have the right to be NTA'd, fight your case in immigration court. And so, and if you've never been arrested, you have no criminal cases, you're in a good place. Like, good for you. You've got a pending asylum application that's better to have, all right, than to not have anything. All right. Your case was already opened 2 times. It's in New York City. Okay. Yeah, good. Good. Talk it over with your lawyer. I'm assuming I would be on that list too. Probably. Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Yep. And so, awesome. That's everything I got for today. Thank you all so much for being here. Really appreciate it. Again, my name's Otis Landerholm. I'm the founding attorney here at Landerholm Immigration A.P.C., where we fight for your American dream. And yeah, that's all I got. So thank you for tuning in. If this was helpful, please subscribe to our content. Please give us a thumbs up or a wave or a like or a heart or whatever it is, depending on your platform. And yeah, make it a great day. Let's see. Citizen's son just filed adjustment of status, waiting for receipts. Can I be deported? Is it your citizen's son that filed for adjustment of status? Or they filed for your adjustment of status? Look, I don't want to leave people nervous. Anybody that's out there that has filed for adjustment of status, good for you. All right? Good for you. That is good. If anybody's out there that could apply for adjustment of status, get it on file now. You'll be in a so much better situation than people who have nothing. Should I say that again? Like, everybody that can file for asylum, that can file for citizenship, that can file for a green card, if you have the right and the legal authority behind you to do that, in my opinion, now is the time. All right? Do it before regulations change. Do it before laws change. Get it on file and get receipts in your hand before January 20th, 2025. That is in your best interest, with certain exceptions. Talk those through with a lawyer. If my office can help you with that, we'd love to help you with that. You know? And there are certain times where even if you've got an arrest, even if you've got a conviction against you, you're still so much better off filing that adjustment of status case, because if they deny you in front of USCIS, so what? We fight it in court. All right? Is that clear? Like, you could, if they detain you, if ICE comes and knocks on the door and they detain you and you're arrested, they can't deport you. They can NTA you. And you can fight that case in court. And we can win your green card in front of an immigration judge, as long as you file before laws change against you. Make sure that you're eligible. Make sure that you have a good case. Talk it through with your lawyer and get your case on file now. All right? I hope that I'm speaking clearly. I hope I'm speaking clearly, because that's just the best advice, in my opinion, as a certified specialist in immigration law who's been fighting complex deportation cases since 2011. In my opinion, that's the right path. All right? There you go. And if I can help you in any way, I'd love to do that. All right? Thank you all so much for being here. That's all I got for today. I'm Otis Landerholm, Landerholm Immigration, A.P.C., where we fight for your American dream. Make it a great day. All right, you guys. Thanks a lot. Take care. Bye-bye.